Well, hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited. Today is going to be a busy day for me in the market kitchen. I'm actually getting ready for a market. It's very, very exciting. I'm going to be breaking this up probably into several different videos. And you might notice I've got on my tank because it's going to get hot in here because we're going to have the oven going and doing all kinds of different things. And so I'm just so excited to be back in the kitchen again doing some delicious baking. So friends, we've been on the spring into sourdough journey. Remember, we started our sourdough. Here's my sourdough packet, and we talked about how you can get recipes by following this link. Okay, if you didn't see the video on how we started that starter, watch that, pause, come back to this, or go back and watch it later. But if you're wanting to start from a dehydrated or freeze-dried starter, this is a really good video for you to watch. And we woke it up. We've got our discard, and then here you can see we have doubled our starter, and it's nice and bubbly and happy. And so, you hear that? It's even talking. It's even talking to me. So we are ready to go ahead and work with this sourdough. So we're going to make some bread today. So come on in and let's get to working. So the thing about this journey that I'm taking this time with my sourdough is I am using fresh milled flour. So I'm going to go ahead, and we have been working through this. I'm going to go ahead and mill out quite a bit, probably. Well, we're going to need at least 500 grams. So I may go ahead and mill all of it because I'm not so sure that we might be able to make a double batch. So let me see what we've got here. I need to change it because I was using this for another thing. No, we're probably going to only have enough to make a single batch because I need 500 grams of fresh milled and 500 of just regular flour, baking flour. So I'm going to pour all this in here because I may go ahead and use that to feed our sourdough after we get done using it. So I'll go ahead and turn this on, and then we'll be back. Okay, I don't know how much is going to pick up of the background noise, but I was going back and forth. Do I want to do the buckwheat? Do I want to do the oat? Buckwheat, oat, buckwheat, oat. I decided on the oat because it's already open. And so I'm going to go ahead and mill the rest of this. And then we're going to make a batch of that the same way we just did that with the hard white wheat. We'll make the exact same measurements with the oat because I have 4 bannetons and I can make 4 loaves of bread. Okay, our flour has been milled. I've put it off to the side. We're going to use a sifter because I just want to use the flour and I do not want to have the bran of it with it on this particular. I'm trying to decide if I do or don't want the bran because I think I'm going to go with a no this time. So anyway, well, I want to sift that bran off of there for the bread. For the starter, we went ahead and left it on there thinking that it might be a little more organic and a little bit better to catch some of those natural yeasts. So before I start mixing the flours, which I think I want to wait on that, we're going to go ahead and start with the starter. So let's see. This recipe, by the way, it is off the Nutrimil website, and I just printed off the parts that I needed for it. You can find that online. If I remember, I'll put a link. I try to always do that for you guys. Okay, so I did find I have oat groats and I also have buckwheat. So if I wanted to, and I might, to do this with, if I have more starter than I realized, we can maybe even make a second kind, or we can maybe even mix some of the fresh grains. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to put my bowl on here and then I'm going to turn it on. That way it's tared out to 0. I want 700 grams of filtered water, 200 grams of active starter, and 20 grams of salt. So let's go ahead and start with the starter so I can kind of see where we're at. I really have a feeling I have enough to make 2 batches. So we are about to the 2 cup. It's just started to fall. This is like the perfect time to do this. So I'm going to give this just a quick mix, and we're going to double check our recipe, read twice, measure once, kind of like cutting wood, you know? You don't want to make those mistakes. So again, 200 grams of starter. So let's see what happens when we start putting some in here. There is 127, 150, 185, 91, 201. Okay, all right. Let's see how much starter that leaves us with. We've got, you want to always leave yourself like maybe a fourth a cup or so. Forgot to measure what it was. It was probably about 1 cup after we stirred it, slightly more. So we're about a half a cup here. So I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'm going to set this aside. Yeah, half to 3/4. It's kind of hard to see. I need to clean my jar. So for now, I'm just going to set this aside. I'm probably going to take what's left of our fresh milled flour and use that to feed with, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. So next, what I want to do, we'll feed that a little bit. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our water, which was 700 grams, and they wanted you to use filtered water. I don't have filtered water today, but what you can do is take water from the tap, and then you can leave it set out overnight, and it will, you know, dissipate and get rid of that chlorine, because that's the part we're most worried about, is the chlorine. So I'm going to zero that out. Maybe. There we go. And so we need to add in our 700 grams of water. So I'll use, here we go. So this is going to be a very high hydration dough. 350, 490, 616, 627, 659, 674, 686. We're getting close. 700 on the dot. I believe I did that. And then we'll go ahead and zero that out again. And I believe we have to add some salt. Yes, 20 grams of salt. And I prefer to use a pink Himalayan sea salt. So let's see, here we go. 10, 15, 17, 18, 19. That might be close enough. 20. All right, perfect. You know, when you're making bread, you can measure by cups, but you get such a better precise product when you measure by grams and ounces. Now, if I wanted to, at this point, I could put this into my Bosch mixer, which I actually had got that out with my dough hook with all intentions of doing this, but I really do like my Danish dough hook. And although this one is not from Nutrimil, they do with they've got several sourdough starter kits now. You can actually get from there, or I got this one as a kit with my bannetons from Amazon. So what I want to do now is we're going to see if I can bring you in. I'm going to do this left-handed for a little bit, but we're going to mix this all together. I want this really well incorporated. So a mixy. Feel like it's all, you know, incorporated. Can you see that? There we go. So it kind of reminds me of when you would add yeast to water to get it to be fed. That's kind of what it looks like to me, except it's not super bubbly. So we'll get our scale back out again, and this is where we're going to start adding in our flour. So I'll turn that back on. We want to zero that back out. Now I prefer to use bread flour. I buy my flours in bulk. Yes, it calls for an unbleached bread flour. Well, I'm afraid that mine probably is a bleached bread flour. I have yet to find an unbleached bread flour. I can find an unbleached all-purpose. So we'll just go with this, and we need 500 grams. So let's see what that is. We're about halfway there. 255, 405, 460, 482, 500 on the dot again. Boy, I'm getting lucky today. Zero that back out again and tap, tap. So we don't get a big poof of flour, which we probably still will anyway. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take, look how fine this is. Isn't this I just love it. So you want a very fine ground flour. So then now we need 500. So basically it's going to be, half and half. And what I'm doing here is this will help me just kind of get rid of some of that bran. Now, if you don't have one of these nifty little tools, it's not a big deal. You can actually just use a colander or a sieve and use it to kind of help get that. You just want to get the really big pieces. So let me show you. I think we're there. Let me show you what's left behind. Whoops. So this is the bran, and that's the outside part of your wheat berry. So I won't get rid of this because there are some really great recipes you can use this for. For now, I'll just stick this in a bowl and we will collect all of it. I'll get myself another one of these. I'll probably, like I said, it's going to be most of the flour. I won't bore you with this part. I will come back after I've reached my 500 grams. Wow, guys, that was spot on perfect. Okay, maybe not. We reached 502 grams and I went ahead and I am leaving it in there because when I went to tear it out, it actually did $4.99 on the other. So to me, this is close enough. We are within a gram of the total amount of flour that we need. And so I'm really excited. And that was the end of that bag of the hard white wheat. So we were able to start our sourdough and make our 2 loaves of bread from that with that one bag. So there's a little reference for you. So now I will kind of clean up a little bit. Let's bring over the mixer. Have I told you how much I love my Bosch? My first Bosch must be at least 25 years old. Then I recently got the new stainless steel one, and it was just in time because one of the little pegs on here broke off on mine. And so I didn't want to be down. It was good. I didn't have to be down without my mixer. So we don't need this. So I'll put this in my little basket. I've got a basket right over there that I keep all my attachments in. And we're going to get out the dough hook. We're going to transfer everything over here into our mixer. So I want to scrape every bit of this because, we measured it out so nicely. Put on my lid, and it just kind of, once it's in the right spot, it just all snaps in. Turn this on 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes. First things first, before I forget, I've started milling our oat groats, but I weighed out the starter and I only have enough for 1 loaf. So what I'm doing is what we did here, I'm cutting that in half. So, instead of using 500 grams of each fresh milled and the bread flour, we're using 500 total. So you would just, if you only want to do 1 loaf, you would just do the math with that. And now I'm going to show you the dough. It's supposed to be slightly sticky, but well incorporated, which that's what it is. But look at that. Oh, lovely. That is lovely. This is going to be good. I can tell. I've been baking bread for many, many years. Some of you may already know this, but if you're new here, you might not know. I used to run a bread delivery route, as in I made homemade bread and would deliver it all over. So that was a lot of fun. And now I just do it occasionally, maybe for farmers market and stuff. I'm going to have a special event this weekend and at my farm stand. So that's what I'm baking for today. So I'm going to take a well-greased bowl and I'm going to clean this off the best I can here. My neighbor custom built this for me for the height of me, and I call it my kneading station so that I can, knead my breads and make my pastas. It's wonderful. I love it. These things are wonderful. I just have the one that's exactly like this. I had several smaller ones for like another project for another day I'll tell you about. But I love this one. I got it at a restaurant supply store, I think. But it really helps me to be able to clean out the bowls. And when I do shaping, it's so handy for all kinds of things. It's not a bench scraper, it's a dough scraper. And I'm kind of excited that it worked out that we have the oat one too, because I might bake it earlier than I bake this other one, because I really want to get a longer ferment on this batch here so that I can have some more sourdough loaves, if that makes any sense, because sourdough does not have to be sour. So you can make all sorts of sourdough things that don't really have that tang to it. You get that by doing a long extended ferment. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. We're going to use that to finish up our other. But for now, I'm just going to take this and we're going to do what's called a stretch and fold. I want to clean my scraper off the best I can. Then I'm going to slightly wet my fingers. That's going to help with my wet fingers. And I'm going to pull this dough up and fold it over on itself. Turn it. Pull it up and fold it over on itself. Turn it. Fold it. Turn it and fold it until we have folded in all four sides. And that's all there is to a stretch and fold. I'll wipe off my hands and then I'll show you the next step. Again, with slightly damp hands, I just thought I would show you one more angle of the stretch and fold, because you may see some recipes that will call for you to stretch and fold several times. This one, I believe, we're just going to do it the one time. Those damp hands. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's it. All right, now the directions say what we need to do is cover this and leave it at room temperature for 6 to 12 hours. Well, as happen chance would have it, my room temperature may not be monitored very well because it's been kind of cold, and my starter kind of had a rougher time than I thought it would getting started. So I'm bringing out the big guns here to make sure so that by the end of the day I can do what I need to do. We will show you a new product that I have to review. Soligt, Soligt, so S-O-L-I-G-T, Solit has a dough proofer. So when I saw this, I was like, I want to try this thing out. This looks really, really cool. There are lots of different brands and things out there that you can try. I am very intrigued by this one. It was a very reasonably priced product. Some of them can get quite pricey. And I do have a proofing oven that I use, but I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be making some yeasted rolls later. And so I'm excited about being able to have different products made at different proofing times, because when you use, like your yeasted doughs are going to be a 30-minute to 1 hour proof. Well, this we need to proof for like 6 to 12 hours. And so I want to have it set at a temperature that will stay constant and stable. And I may actually move this into a different room just because the oven is going to be going and it could have us a little bit hotter And all I'm doing is we're just going to zip this up to the back because I want the flap to still be able to open. In addition to dough, there is a thing called levain. I don't know how many of you are big bread bakers and if you use levain or not, but this is a great way to do that. There's a video out by Joshua Weissman talking about that, and he uses a proofer, just like not this one, but he uses a proofer, and he does what we're doing now, except he does it with the levain too, which is kind of like a different way to start your bread. You remember how we took the water and the salt and the starter? Well, you add a little bit of flour and you put it in a separate dish, and then you add your flour and the rest of the water, and you have them separate, and you could totally use this for that. But I wanted to try Nutrimill's recipe first because I was using their starter and I just thought it would be fun. But that may be a video in the future. If you'd like to find out more about what that is and how that works, let me know, okay? Because I'm always looking for inspiration of ideas. Now, it's kind of self-explanatory on how this puts together. There's like prongs and notches that you line it up. Yes, I just want to make sure I do it right, because one time the farmer, somehow I got the trailer lights plugged in wrong. I don't know how I possibly did that. I didn't know that was possible. He didn't know it was possible. Crazy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move this into a different place in the house, and then I'm going to bring you with me and show you what we do next. So we moved around the corner because I've got so many projects going on today that I really needed the space in the kitchen. So I'm just going to use the table here, and we're going to proof it here. So what I'm going to do, just for funsies, is we'll go ahead and we'll put our 2 sourdough bread in there, and then our 1 oatmeal bread in here. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to zip this baby on up. I just love how this is going to be so handy to be compact. I am a kitchen gadget person, okay? It is a huge weakness of mine. I can't help it. It's who I am. So the fact that this folds up really nicely and I can store it, that is good. That is a win for me. And I have plugged this in, and then there is a little sunshine that is blinking. It's set for 74 degrees. I'm going to turn it down to 72 degrees. And then I'm going to do this for, I can adjust the time to 6, 12, 18. I'm going to do it for 6 hours because I'm doing this because I'm wanting this to kind of make sure that I can get this done before I go to bed tonight. So we're going to do this 6 hours at 72 degrees. And when the sun goes away, then it will, you know you're at the right temperature. If the sun comes back, that means it's warming back up and it's doing its job. And then it'll stop at my today 6 hours. And this is really, really cool. So I'm stoked about having this. And I think that for those of you who don't have a proofing oven, if you have never used one, this is going to be a game changer for you, because I love my proofing oven. I even have a second oven that doesn't work very well, and I will use it on the warm as my proofer. So I really encourage you to go check out this company. I'll have a discount code for you and a link down below so that you can see what this is all about and see if it's something that you would enjoy. At least look into it. I wanted to show you here. Okay, we've been about 9 hours, and our oat dough has doubled, but look how beautiful this wheat dough looks. We are done now, so I can shut this off, and I'll just unplug it and zip it up, fold it up, put it away till next time. I'll meet you in the kitchen. It has been a good 9 hours since we started this morning with our sourdough journey, our sourdough project. So what I'm going to do is I've got rice flour. So this is a trick that I learned a long time ago, and I usually have it in one of these, and I'm not sure, but I think this one just has, oh, it's empty. This one's empty. So I will put just a little bit in here. I won't need much. Okay. And what I want to do now is, if you use rice flour versus all-purpose flour, then you are going to, it's not going to stick to your banneton. So what I'm wanting to do is just sprinkle my banneton all over with this rice flour, and it will not change any flavor. It won't do anything like that. And you know, you don't have to go crazy with it, but I want to be generous enough that it'll coat the pan. And if you think you've got a little too much, you can always dust it into the next one. I just kind of make sure it goes all around. These are new bannetons. These are the oval ones. I usually use my circle ones. I have several of those, but I was feeling like I wanted my sourdoughs to be in the oval. So I thought, well, we'll go ahead and do the oat in the oval today too. I probably honestly should do it in something different, but I'm just going to have to mark it. So because there's only one loaf with the oat bread, I'm going to show you how to do that. And I just need some all-purpose flour. So I'm going to grab a scoop here just to have on hand. And I'm just going to put a little flour down. I'm going to save that plastic wrap. And we're going to pull it out onto our countertop. And I find that when I fold these, it's a little different than when I do my round ones. So I'm trying to remember. I think you go and you pull about 3/4 of the way over and then pull it over on itself like an envelope and then to the halfway mark and then back over. Okay. All right. Now we've got this. So you really don't even need any flour. Let's see. I'm going to read the directions on this sheet. It's really hard for me. I have to actually watch them as I do it. On these, my round ones, I know how to just pull. So I think what I forgot was the part where it twists over on top each other. There we go. Now I roll it. There we go. This is starting to look better. had to think about what I was doing for a second. And then I'll pull it into myself and push it away from myself just to grab a little tension. And if you use your scraper, that really helps too. And then all we do is flip this over and you'll have your seam side up into your banneton. Wondering if this Ziploc bag will actually hold this. And then that way I know this one is the oat one. Oh, it almost seals. I bet I can coerce that. Okay, if you had one of those 2-gallon ones, that would be the way to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tape that up because I have a feeling it'll pop that seal if I don't. I'll put a couple on there. So this is a cold ferment is what this is going to be. And it will not rise much in here. We'll bring it out and we'll let it rise. So this is our oat one. And this is going to go into the refrigerator. Now, if it was still daytime, I'm going to sleep tonight, okay? So that's what's going to happen. It's going to be in the refrigerator all night. And then whenever I get time tomorrow after my other projects, I will bake that. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull this out. And this was the hard wheat. This looks lovely. Ooh, and it's kind of got a little bit of a sourdough smell. Not too much, just a little bit. And I'm just going to eyeball this, okay? I'm going to sprinkle this on here, especially like right where I want to go down the middle. And I'm just going to eyeball this. And they're not going to be exact. I mean, I guess if I wanted to, I do have a scale. I do like to know if it's the same size. So we'll do grams. That's fine. That's about 929 grams. I bet the other one's over 1,000. I always do it. I never can get it down in the middle. They're both going to be about 950 grams. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull that in, roll it like a burrito, whisk these over. Okay, now I know there is a much better way. I am not a professional here, friends. Oh, see, I've already done it out of order. That's okay. That's all right. I'm okay with this. We're doing good. We're still doing good. Roll. Tension there. Crisscrossing. I think I've messed up the crisscross thing, but we tried. We tried. Okay. Seam side up. Well, there. Now, seam side up. Okay, remember that plastic we saved? We are going to put one on each one of these. I want to make sure I cover that up really good. So I'm going to get that tape back out. And I'm going to put a big long piece of tape kind of across the bottom here. Do the next one. And I happen to have a couple more of these bags. So we'll go ahead just to kind of help keep that plastic wrap on there. We'll go ahead and put those in here, but we'll know that these two, because they have the plastic wrap, are the white bread, the wheat, hard white wheat. This is all still very new to me. But the thing is, I would like to leave these an extra day to ferment in the refrigerator. So that's another reason why I want to know. So in the refrigerator, these are going to go for up to 48 hours. Good morning, friends. I am quiet today because I'm up before the coffee has hit and the rest of the family's sleeping. But I wanted to tell you, we're going to go ahead and finish our sourdough bread today. No, I did not get the oatmeal loaf baked off yesterday like I hoped. So they're both just going to be a kind of a, hopefully, a tangy sourdough, and I'm okay with that. We like a little bit of a tang. It has been about 36 hours, maybe closer to 32. So, you know, it hasn't gone the full 48 hours. But what we need to do now is prepare our oven. They want you to bake in a Dutch oven, which I typically do for my round bowls, but I wasn't going to do that. I'm trying to decide if I want to do that. I have a baking stone that I can put here, and then I can put the ice underneath, but I think I'll probably just go ahead and use the cast iron, and I can fit up to 4 at this. So I'll probably do 1, 2, 3. And then next we need to do is just turn on, I don't always do the convection. I find that just a regular bake works fine. So we're going to turn on to 450 degrees. I've seen recipes all the way from 450 up to 500. We'll go at 450. A lot of times I'll do 455, but actually we need to get that cast iron in there too. So I'll be right back. You can use the enamel coated. It's totally fine. And then I also have stoneware where I typically will do it like this, upside down, when I have the round bowls. But because we have shaped them into ovals, today we'll do it like this. Same thing. I will turn it upside down. And that will be that. I do want to show you though, I have baked with these before, but I have not worked with them a lot. I do have more of them that are larger, 4 of them actually, so that I can do 1, 2, 3, 4. They're a little bigger than this. I've only baked in this the one time. It turned very black. I didn't do like the pre-soak. I need to do a little more research. So if any of you have used these clay pots, please let me know. I've used that Pampered Chef pan for years. I don't put any water in that one. And the same with the enamel. So we'll kind of experiment and just do water with the bottom one. See how that goes. Ice, that is, because they want you to use ice. But that's later. I'll see you in about an hour. We've been 45 minutes, an hour at least. I'm sure. Yes, it's been an hour. So at least 45 minutes, you're going to let all that stuff get super hot, okay? We want it really hot. Now we're going to pull everything out of the refrigerator. Oh, yes. See, we did hit the top, did get rice. So sometimes I get confused. There's so many different ways to do things. I'm kind of used to different ways. Like the ferment overnight, usually then you bring it out the next day and you'll let it rise an hour. But this wasn't that because we did it for a couple of days. And it's kind of wet from being in the refrigerator. So I think I want to get some of that rice flour just to help with sticking a little bit. Go ahead and unwrap these. They are nice and they have risen. They have easily doubled. Probably shouldn't have put this on there so tightly. Learn from my mistakes, please. And we'll go ahead and do the oat one first, just so that we don't make the mistake. And how I'm gonna tell is, one, I'm gonna put it in the pan a certain way, but two, I am going to decorate the top slightly different too, so that we can easily tell the difference. Do not throw those Ziploc bags away. Absolutely, you can reuse them. This step isn't in the directions. This is just me doing this, okay? So do it or don't. I will then lay this on parchment because I don't have those Silpat mats, those special sourdough mats. That would be ideal. That's not what I have. So I'm using parchment. And let's see what it looks like. Oh, isn't that lovely? Now make sure your bannetons, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave this up like this so that we can get good air circulation and let this dry out really well. I'm just gonna put it on the counter over here. And this is gonna be oat, so I definitely want to do it different. I think what I wanna do is just make one line right down the middle. That's gonna be it. I think that's all we're gonna do for the oat. I'm gonna make sure I score that pretty deep, just so it's gonna just open up right in the middle is what it should do. Hopefully it turns out beautiful. We'll see. And then let's go ahead and take and flour these before we forget. One thing about sourdough bread, especially ones that you have bulk fermented in the refrigerator versus your no knead bread, it's so much easier to like make designs with. I want to do almost like wheat on here, so I won't score as deep. And then let's see, if I wanted to, I could even put a little flour on here just to give me a little better surface to work with. Okay, and I'm going to follow this line of the basket, and not real deep here. And then I'm gonna make score marks along the side of it. And this is gonna be our wheat. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make a much deeper score on this side. Ooh, I didn't make one big long score. That's kind of the trick. So this should open up, and then this should show a leaf. And then I think I'll make another one off to the side. Remember, I'm not scoring super deep. This is just to kind of make a mark, and I'm just gonna kind of get creative with it. That one's probably not gonna be as pretty because it was the first one. Let's try again. See if I get what I want on this one. Wanting to shove that down in there, don't do that. You gotta let this air out or it'll get moldy in there. So I'm gonna try this again, just a gentle score, and then I'll make my leaf marks. Then I'm gonna make another leaf off to the side. And when I mean leaf, I mean like this is a wheat leaf. This is a lame. These are handy, but you can use a knife. I wanna make sure I get a nice deep score because this will make what's called an ear, and then that'll open up so that this design won't totally break open. This one might, it got a little deep on that side. We shall see. And now we can easily tell the difference between the wheat and the oat, even after it's cooling. So now we're gonna move to the oven. Gloves, I'll think about it, trying to get it down below. I'm not very good about showing like my Amazon links. They will wear out, mine has. But I like these because they cover my forearms. I mean, I have burnt myself as many loaves of bread as I've done. It's a wonder I haven't burnt myself even more. So, okay, hopefully you can see what's going on. These are gonna be really heavy and really hot. So, I'm gonna do what they suggest, and I'm gonna put well, there ends up with 3 ice cubes in there. And I'm only doing it in that pan because I don't want to ruin my other one. And that is going to produce steam. I'm going to then put this on top. Put the lid on top of that. That's going to put that steam right in there quickly. Now this won't keep the oval shape as much as one would hope, but I'm okay with that. Today we're just wanting to get it baked. set my timer for 25 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll remove those lids. Okay, so didn't have my little mic on in the last clip. As you can hear, the timer has gone off. So let's go ahead, take off these lids. I want to make sure I get these on really well. Off the lid. Ooh, doesn't that look beautiful already? 2, 3. They're looking gorgeous. We're gonna add 16, about 15 minutes is what you need to add. So it's 20 to 25 minutes on the first with the lid on, and then 15 to 20 minutes with the lid off. So I'll probably be smelling. I'm over there doing all the dishes. So I'm gonna be right in the kitchen, and I'll peek and check in on it. I can turn on my oven light. I might just do that. So I'm reminded to just look over every once in a while and keep a close look on that. And then we'll be back to take it out. Timer's going off again. We're just gonna shut that down because I can see in my little window that it's ready. Okay, and my hands are still wet. I finished up all those dishes though. Okay, so let's check it out. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that. Let's take them all out and then we'll get a closer look. I don't want them cooking anymore, and they already are. But let's take, no wait, they're not talking to me. So in the past when I've made my artisan breads, they'll sing and talk to me. But look, you hear that? Nice knock. There is our oat bread. Didn't that turn out beautifully? I just want to get it out of there. And here is one of our wheat loaves. Not quite as tall as I'd hoped, but you know, it's expected to not come out perfectly every time. Ooh, but look at that nice bottom. It didn't get too burnt. It's got that nice ear. You can see the wheat. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so we're gonna leave these. Let's check the bottom of the one we put ice on. And ironic, it's the one that got the darkest. Okay, so we're gonna let these set. These are gonna set for at least an hour, maybe more. It takes me a couple hours to do chores, so the whole time I'm out doing chores, these are gonna be cooling before I decide to bag them up or bite into them or whatever I wanna do. But this is where I'll end the story for today on our springing into sourdough adventures. So we've done making the sourdough, working with the discard, and now we've made the bread. What's next? What do you wanna see next, guys? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, bye for now. Until next time. Let's look at them. Beautiful ear. That wheat. As expected, it cracked down the middle of that wheat, but that's okay. And the oat. Split open right in the middle like I'd hoped.